All right, high rollers, we watched it. We couldn't believe it. 3 title fights, 3 new champions, an electrifying night at Madison Square Garden for UFC 217. And by the end of the evening, many jaws had been dropped, just like the 3 defending champs. Back with us is Michael Marr, at Michael Marbled on Twitter. This guy watched the fights, he's rewatched them, and he's here to break it all down for us. Michael, welcome back, man. Thanks for being our high roller today.
Thanks for having me back.
In the post-fight press conference, Dana White said that the UFC is all about holy shit moments, and he called that the holy shit card. I mean, what a night of fights.
For sure. I can't think of how many times I was just hollering, at the top of my lungs in front of my TV.
Everything headlined, of course, by Bisping St. Pierre. It was a great night. These guys, 2 legends of the sport. One of them, the Canadian, comes out on top, enshrining his legacy as the greatest ever? What do you think?
I mean, there's always going to be arguments to be made one way or another, but you got a really strong case here.
I mean, what a matchup this was. Bisping, I thought he was going to win this fight, and then GSP enters the octagon. I went, wow, look at the size of him. I mean, his body changed so much in the 3+ years he was off. He really got big for this one.
I mean, I guess. I hear a lot of people saying that. Personally, I didn't really think he looked that much different than how I recall him looking at 170. I certainly thought that knowing the differences between the tail of the tape between the 2 fighters, I didn't think they looked that big of a difference when they were actually, facing off in the cage.
It was quite a matchup. Man, I thought Bisping was going to win this one. GSP comes back. I thought at one point fatigue had set in and the legacy would be tarnished, but no, GSP does it, chokes him out. Your thoughts on the fight and how it all played out?
I thought it was spectacularly exciting. Just watching through it, I thought it was really dramatic. It had a lot of back and forth aspects to what was happening, especially, once, GSP started to maybe slow down a little bit, or Bisping started to pull a little further ahead in the second round. And then after GSP took him down, then Bisping cut him to shreds before they stood back up. You can't help but think that the fight was favoring Bisping at that point until GSP lands that big shot, put him down, and this is a nice little GSP trap.
Yeah, no kidding. Out of nowhere, the left hook, and Bisping is down. You talk about the size. They asked him about that after the fight, and Bisping says, well, he sure felt like a middleweight when he got his arms around me. I mean, that boy is strong.
Indeed, yeah, it definitely didn't seem like he had any concerns in regards to the size disparity. Just figured he knew what he was going to be able to do, and I can't argue against him.
You mentioned that damage from the bottom. All that blood on GSP's face really added to the drama. And you're right, he got some good shots off on his back, Bisping did, and seemed to have the momentum.
Oh, for sure. Once the fight went from the takedown where Bisping did the damage from the bottom and they stood back up, at that point I was all like, this really doesn't look good for GSP, because I'm thinking he's slowing down and now he's cut to shreds. So there's no way the judges are really going to give him that much credit if he looks like he's been taking that much of a beating, and it might have an impact on how he has to fight from there forward. But then and there, I was a little concerned as to how he could win the fight.
Yeah, out of nowhere, Dunn, got those arms around his neck and choked him out. You really can't understate the achievement this is. I mean, he was off for a long time. He comes back and defeats the champion. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, it really is awe-inspiring overall. Like, it really is interesting. I don't know how much of it was, maybe he just needed to not be in the championship role, or the constant queue of top contenders. The whole game, designed to beat you and, crush you. Maybe he just really did need some time off to really get more creative in training or something. Who knows? But I'm on board. Let's go.
There was a lot of talk about GSP picking Bisping because he thought it was an easy fight. He was the guy he thought he could beat, in that division. And man, give GSP credit. He really had the scouting location down, got it done. I mean, he was right in the end.
For sure. I mean, I don't doubt that GSP, was looking at the larger pictures like, oh, okay, I'm pretty sure I can take that belt away from Bisping, and that is a huge feather in his cap in terms of negotiation and, what he can do for the rest of his career. It's just fantastic.
After the fight, when they were talking to Bisping, I was like, here it comes, the retirement announcement. But no, I mean, he's going to fight again, he says. I mean, I found that unbelievable.
I was surprised a little bit as well. Everyone seems to think that he has his vision, no pun intended, on the horizon already. I mean, look, he didn't take a crazy amount of damage in that fight. He got choked unconscious, okay, but this is not, traumatic. GSP is definitely a lot more damage, I thought, at the end of the fight. So I don't have a problem with seeing Bisping go on, but like, what else do you have to? I don't think he has anything else to prove. If he has a chance to pick up a little bit more of a payday before he takes a walk in the sport, great. But I don't want to see him take damage. And who's he going to fight? Yoel Romero? I don't know if that's a great idea.
Nobody wants to fight Yoel.
I'll watch.
Yeah, I'll watch too, man. That would be something else. Well, I was going to ask you about GSP and what is next for him. Dare I suggest a possible meeting down the road with the Irishman, Conor McGregor?
I mean, that's the most fun conspiracy to run with for sure. And I don't even know if I would call it a conspiracy, since it's, of course, biggest guy from the previous generation of mixed martial arts, and a huge star internationally as well as just in the Canadian and North American market. I don't know if that's necessarily the fight that happens next. I don't know if there's truth to the speculation that GSP wants to go 85-70, 55 or 85-70 super fight, whatever. He might go for Tyron next. He might fight Bobby Knuckles. I don't know. I'm in.
Yeah, I'm in for anything Conor does, and you know what? I'm in for anything GSP does. Let's talk about Bisping real quick. He pulled the Holly home. He got choked out, did not tap, went to sleep. Do you give someone extra credit in a loss for not tapping, or does it really matter at that point?
I feel silly to really comment on it since I don't train, to be honest. But, I mean, as a fan, I think it looks more gangster when they go out. Certainly from chokes, anyway. If it's a joint lock, then you're talking about serious trauma a lot of the time. I don't have a problem with people not seeing their limbs get destroyed.
Yeah, and I think within the UFC industry too, the fighters themselves, I think they think it's more gangster too. Where is his legacy, Bisping? We all know what GSP's legacy is. He's going to be, the greatest ever. But what about Bisping? I mean, this guy's a legend too, isn't he?
Oh, absolutely. Hall of Fame. Honestly, I wouldn't have had a giant issue. I just might have maybe raised my eyebrow a little bit to see him in the Hall of Fame before he won the title, just because of how much work he had put in over his career. At this point, how can you keep him out?
I'll tell you what, it was a jaw-dropping moment, the third one of the night. I mean, there were many that night, but the third big one. In the co-headliner, TJ Dillashaw recaptures the bantamweight crown. He stops ex-team alpha male teammate Cody Garbrandt. Another edge-of-your-seat fight. I mean, they were swinging for the fences. These two don't like each other. The rivalry was massive, and it looked like TJ was out. The bell saved him, it seemed. But boy, when you can survive in advance, that's what you got to do in the fight game, and that's what TJ did on this night.
For sure. He definitely looked in big trouble when that punch landed in the first. But yeah, after each fighter made some adjustments, it made the fight really interesting. I think we'll probably see them again. I don't know about next, but yeah, I want to see both of them fight more, that's for sure. Maybe Cody take a little break, since he got knocked out, but hopefully not too bad.
Yeah, these two are definitely going to meet up again down the road, probably within a year and a half, I would guess. I mean, it's a natural rematch. They don't like each other. It was close both ways, and TJ gets the upper hand. When I'm watching the fight with people, the word cockiness comes out, besides the neck tattoo, but cockiness comes out when people talk about Cody Garbrandt. We saw in the fight, when TJ would miss a leg kick, Cody would do his little act like he was a matador, sweeping aside the bull. And at the end of the first round, I saw him mouth over across the ring. He says, "You're not getting out of this round." Was he a little too cocky, do you think, or is that just the way it goes?
Uh, I mean, I don't know if that was necessarily the key aspect of why, he was unsuccessful. I don't have a problem with it myself. It's part of the game, so to speak. It makes it more entertaining to watch, that's for sure. But it goes both ways.
Absolutely. And TJ Dillashaw, you got to give this guy credit. What an athlete he is. He took a lot of damage. Again, saved by the bell, has a minute to recoup and does so. And he came out looking pretty good and, of course, landed that big shot. What do you say about TJ Dillashaw? Had a lot of motivation to get the title back. He thought he never lost the title.
Oh, I think that's a completely fair argument that you could make, that he could have come out of the fight with Dominic as the winner. And honestly, I kind of would like to see that fight again, see that fight play out again. But I don't know if it would necessarily be the same result, as time moves on. He's had great performances in all of his recent fights. So, I mean, personally, the big reason why I was favoring him over Garbrandt is just the depth of experience more that TJ has than Cody, because he's got tons of experience against preparing for other great guys as well, and pretty much in the entire scope of Cody's mixed martial arts career.
Yeah, you talk about experience. Part of it is dealing with mind games. We saw the video released of Garbrandt knocking TJ down in practice. Of course, he got called out on the Joe Rogan show saying he wasn't knocked out. It was just a simple knockdown. That kind of backfired, I think. I mean, it seemed to me that Cody had more emotion in this fight than TJ. TJ was there to do a job. He survived. He got it done. Whereas Cody just wanted revenge on his mind, I guess.
I don't know. I thought as the fight played out, it seemed like they both started off fairly on point with their game plans. As things progressed, I think maybe Cody deviated from his best approach a little bit. I don't know if that was necessarily because he had the success from landing that really nice shot at the end of the first, or if it was just that he was frustrated that TJ was able to start, having success with kicks, or what. But I'm in.
And TJ, of course, calls out Demetrius Johnson in the post-fight interview in the octagon. DJ's hand, I guess, has kind of been forced. I mean, he talks about wanting a big money fight. This is it now, especially if TJ can lose the weight. What do you think of that matchup? How's that going to play out?
I think that's going to be interesting. It's been so long since we've seen DJ up against somebody that's like Tim Elliott's big, but Tim Elliott is not a 5-round fighter, and TJ definitely is. Is he a 5-round fighter at 125? I don't know. He seems convinced to think that he's able to sustainably get down there. I don't know how we would make it to look at him, but once again, I'm not really in that world.
Well, it was definitely a big win for TJ and all the people around him. You saw that pure emotion in the ring afterwards. It really was an amazing victory as he recaptures the bantamweight title. Okay, the women now in the strawweight division has been turned on its head, my man. What? This was amazing. This was a shocker.
Yeah, as soon as I finished howling, I was just thinking to myself, oh my goodness, this makes everything so interesting now, because the matchups are all mixed up. 115 is more interesting now than ever, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it proves that thugs can cry. We saw Rose Namajunas knock out the defending champ Joanna Jacek. I mean, it was a leaping left hook, and Joanna went lights out. This was a shocker, man. Huge upset in the first round. Not many people gave her a chance. But I'll tell you what, she looked calm and composed and really did the job.
For sure. Right out of the gate, when she, had a little bit of success landing that leg kick out of the gate, it was kind of interesting where, we got to see, even at the beginning after the face-off, that, Rose pushes back, whereas in all the lead-up in the promo material and the UFC embeddeds that we've seen the week ahead of the fight, Joanna has just been putting it to Rose in terms of the mind games and the psychological warfare, and Rose has just been trying to be dead-eyed and give no response whatsoever, but doesn't look like it's been easy.
Well, that face-off was scary, right? The boogie woman is coming to get you, and Rose is standing there just dead face. And what a job, what a performance, and it opens up the division completely. I was watching Ariel Helwani on with JJ, and she says that she just didn't feel right, that something was off, that she was a bit slow, and she was very concerned about it and wanted to get to the bottom of it. I don't know if she's giving Rose enough credit, because Rose looked like a different fighter too. She was ready.
For sure. Everyone's going to have a rough day at work, and mixed martial arts is, I imagine, nothing Oliver experienced at work, but I'm okay with that too.
Yeah, I saw a poll on Twitter about asking which one of the 3 title fights deserves an automatic rematch. I think this is it. I think you got to give JJ a chance to get it right back, and who doesn't want to see that one play back?
I mean, I don't take issue with that in terms of, like, if you're going to argue who deserves what. Obviously, her resume speaks for itself. I don't know if I want to see them fight maybe for at least, 6-8 months plus, maybe give her some time off since she had a pretty bad knockout there. And I wouldn't have a problem with maybe Rose defending the belt elsewhere, and then when Joanna's ready, okay, then we'll do that fight again.
One thing that really rang through for me on this card was the commentary of Rogan and Daniel Cormier. These two are hitting it off, and I say they're a good combo, man. I really enjoyed it, and DC really let loose when Rose won this championship.
Daniel Cormier's character and why everyone seems to love him really seems to come through really easily through his commentary, especially in the last couple of events. He's just really coming together, and hopefully they recognize that and make him part of the foundation there.
Yeah, I think they're setting him up for when Rogan leaves down the line, that he's going to be the guy. Okay, one more fight on the main card I want to talk about, and it was a good one too. Jorge Masvidal versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Masvidal's a tough cookie, but Wonderboy just too many weapons on the night. You think he's got a shot at getting that belt back, or getting a title shot again?
Yes and no. Like, so long as Tyron Woodley holds the belt, let's go ahead and say no. At least until we see the kind of body of work that is absolutely undeniable. Looking back, for example, 2013 Vitor Belfort or TRT Tour, however you want to look at it, when he's just head kicking the entire division into oblivion at that point when Anderson was still the champion, but facing up against Weidman, he was like, yep, he deserves it. We start seeing a Wonder Boy like that, and it's still Woodley holding the belt. Okay, maybe then we got to scratch our heads and really think about it seriously. But if the belt changes hands, I don't think it's unreasonable to see if him being very far away, especially if he can continue to win.
Well, I'll tell you what, matchups make fights, and the Woodley Wonderboy matchup is not one that we want to see again. But I'll tell you what, he did look great on the night. He beats Masvidal, who is a very tough fighter. So congrats to Wonderboy on that one. It really was a stacked card all the way through the prelims. Mickey Gall fought. James Vick beat Joe Duffy. Instant replay comes into effect in 2 of the fights. They had to go to video. Any thoughts on the prelims? Any last thoughts on this card?
Wow. Overall, for the entire card, like, so much drama, so much decisive endings, some weird stuff, but in spots where overall it doesn't seem like it's going to have a big detrimental impact in terms of divisions. Yeah, just a fantastic card overall.
I thought it was interesting they brought the replay into effect in 2 of the fights, and the decisions in each one went different ways, but they seemed to be the right calls in both cases.
Yeah, I don't like the Blades. Oh, wow, sorry. I'm going to have to double check on this name here. The Ezekiel choke guy is who I'm thinking of.
Curtis Blades versus Oleksiy Olenek.
Yes, Oleksiy Olenek. So in this fight, Blades had put a significant damage down on Olenek, and then there was that quasi kind of foul head kick when he was kind of a grounded opponent but didn't really make contact. So I'm not really understanding as to why the specific reasoning is that in New York, if they're going to use replay, it's going to force the end of the fight, which is my understanding of how it's set up. So it seems totally reasonable that they would need to pause the action if they suspect that there was a foul blow. And then they were able to use the replay to identify that really that it was not a foul. Meanwhile, because the guy couldn't continue because he had sustained a ton of damage at that point, okay, the fight still needs to stop, so it has to be decisions one way or another. It wouldn't be fair to have a disqualification there, and I don't think it's unreasonable to have a TKO victory there. It's just kind of a really weird way to get there.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. I thought those fights were stopped prematurely because A, I was enjoying them, and B, I thought the guys could have kept going. I thought they should have fought it out. I mean, that's what they're there for. But anyway, what a night. UFC 217 at Madison Square Garden, completely stacked card. Is this the greatest card in UFC history in your mind, or is it close, or what?
I mean, that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's a equally silly argument as pound for pound, or which superhero is going to win in a fight. But if you have fun with it, go for it. I mean, it was as great of a card as we could have dreamed for. It was far beyond my wildest expectations going in. I just wanted to have a good time, and it was an amazing ride.
Hey, listen, anytime you shell out the money for pay-per-view and they're not duds, you got to be happy, and these were definitely not duds. Michael Marr, at Michael Marbled on Twitter. Michael, thanks so much, man. Appreciate your time.
No problem. My pleasure.